Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to the voice of the times. This is Tuesday, March 8, 2022. For today's editorial, Economic Sanctions, Who Will Blink First? The United States and its Western allies have unleashed a barrage of economic sanctions to punish Russia for invading the Ukraine. Vladimir Putin, who has declared that he was on a mission to demilitarize and denazify the former Soviet neighbor, has countered by saying that the sanctions were akin to a declaration of war. The sanctions were meant to apply a chokehold on the Russian economy and make Putin realize that attacking the Ukraine was a bad idea. But Putin has proven time and again to be inscrutable, and predicting his next move is next to impossible. The Russian economy is already feeling the pain. The ruble has suffered a record 30% drop. International banks are putting the squeeze on Russian commodities trading companies. Many countries have closed their ports to Russian shipping, and their airports to Russian airliners. Putin's billionaire cronies have not been spared. Their villas, luxury yachts, art collections, and other trappings of wealth are being targeted for seizure. As the sanctions bite even harder, Putin will have to make some difficult decisions. He can proclaim that he has succeeded in demilitarizing and denazifying the Ukraine, and that it was time to pull back his forces. That will effectively defuse the crisis and provide Putin leeway for saving face. Then again, he can decide to up the ante and ride out the sanctions. Political observers dread that if Putin hangs tough, the fallout from the conflict in the Ukraine will be felt around the world. Long before the Ukraine crisis boiled over, there were signs that Putin was already moving to shield Russia from any economic pressure the West might impose. One Russia expert believes sanction resilience has been part of Putin's long-term calculus, along with his understanding of the West's pain points if sanctions boomerang. Putin has found workarounds to deflect the impact of Western sanctions, according to Rachel Zimba, adjunct senior fellow at the Center for a New American Security. One of the workarounds was selective deglobalization, Zimba said in an article on the Al Jazeera's news site. Russia created barriers to trade by imposing high import tariffs and barriers to communication by launching its own alternative to the internet in 2019, the article said. Putin has also pivoted away from the West to Asia by decreasing dollar reserves, increasing bilateral trade with China, and working on an alternative international payment system to the US-dominated SWIFT. Zimba said Putin put off investments and maintained a tight monetary policy. As a result, Russia has built up its foreign currency reserves, creating a buffer to withstand any economic onslaught. The West, however, cannot inflict pain without suffering pain itself. Clamping down on Russia's oil and gas exports could take a toll on its economy, but it could also raise oil and gas prices to what has been described as apocalyptic levels. Zimba said Putin could even resort to counter-sanctions that could send gas, oil, and wheat prices in the world market soaring further. That would be bad for Russia, bad for the Russian people, and bad for the global economy. David A. Andelman, a political analyst writing for CNN, noted, "There are more screws to be tightened, though the West must be prepared to suffer consequences that, even at their worst, are hardly what the people of the Ukraine are enduring today. The war in the Ukraine is being fought in economic and military battlefields. Economic warfare, however, knows no borders and could wreak havoc on countries like the Philippines, which is struggling to recover from a crippling coronavirus pandemic. Already we are feeling the ripples from the Ukraine crisis as fuel prices continue to spiral. A Brookings Institution online article was on point when it said, because of the interconnectedness of the world economy, the sanctions campaign against Russia is working surprisingly well so far. But globalization also means that the casualties in such warfare can go both ways. Cutting Russia out of the economic system will reverberate internationally. It all boils down to who will blink first. And that's the editorial for Tuesday, March 8, 2022. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.